Chicago Bears fans are already feeling that big game energy building as Sunday night gets closer, and everything coming out of Hallis Hall points to a matchup that could hinge on details, adjustments, and timing. The conversations around the team this week have centered heavily on the defense, especially with key players returning and the coaching staff clearly hinting at a more flexible and aggressive approach against the dangerous Rams offense. Dennis Allen made it clear that C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Kyler Gordon are both expected to have meaningful roles in this game, and that alone opens up a lot of intriguing possibilities. Gordon's return last week brought an immediate boost, and now the focus shifts to how these two defensive backs can be deployed together. This is not just about plugging players back into old roles, but about reshaping the defensive structure to create matchup advantages. There's a real chance we see Kyler Gordon take snaps on the outside, while C.J. Gardner-Johnson is moved closer to the line of scrimmage in more hybrid looks. That potential shift speaks directly to where Gardner-Johnson is at right now. Late in the season, his struggles have been more noticeable in pure one-on-one coverage, especially against quick, twitchy receivers who can change direction in space. When he is asked to play laterally and mirror routes, it exposes some limitations. However, when he's allowed to play downhill, read the quarterback, and attack the run or blitz off the edge, his instincts take over and his impact becomes far more pronounced. Using him in the box more frequently could be a smart way to maximize his strengths while minimizing exposure. Kyler Gordon, on the other hand, brings the type of versatility that allows the defense to be creative. He has shown he can handle coverage responsibilities and process route combinations quickly, which makes him a strong candidate to absorb some of the tougher assignments. It would not be surprising to see packages where both Gordon and Gardner-Johnson are on the field together, showing pressure before the snap, and then either dropping into coverage or attacking from the edge. Those kinds of looks can make a veteran quarterback like Matthew Stafford uncomfortable, especially if the pressure comes from unexpected angles. The idea that both of these players are chess pieces is important. The Bears are not locked into a single identity defensively anymore. Instead, they can adapt based on down, distance, and opponent personnel. That flexibility becomes even more valuable late in the season, when teams are familiar with each other and small wrinkles can be the difference between a stop and a big play. Another layer to this defensive discussion involves Tariq Stevenson, who has quietly worked his way back into the mix. Dennis Allen acknowledged that there are still areas for growth, but overall felt Stevenson played well in his recent action. That creates an interesting situation at outside corner, where the Bears suddenly have multiple players deserving of snaps. The big question becomes how the coaching staff manages that rotation without disrupting rhythm or confidence. Jalen Johnson and Terrell Smith deserve credit for how they responded in the second half of the last game. When the margin for error was slim, both players elevated their play. Jalen, in particular, had a standout moment breaking up a slant route with excellent anticipation and physicality. It was one of those plays that reminds you why he has been trusted in critical situations before. He read the quarterback, jumped the route, and made a decisive play on the ball, showing flashes of his best football. Terrell Smith also looked more comfortable as the game went on, staying in phase with receivers and competing at the catch point. When Stevenson has been on the field in recent weeks, his performance has been solid as well, adding to the sense that the Bears might finally have real depth at outside corner. Having three reliable options gives the defense the freedom to mix and match, ride the hot hand, or tailor matchups based on what the offense is showing. That depth will be tested immediately, because the Rams present one of the toughest challenges possible on the perimeter. Facing receivers like Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua is a full game assignment, not a series of isolated snaps. These are players who can win in multiple ways, whether it is precise route running, physicality at the catch point, or creating yards after the reception. There is no hiding a cornerback against talent like that, which makes communication, safety help, and overall defensive cohesion absolutely critical. While the defense works through its adjustments, the offensive identity of this Bears team continues to be defined by its resilience. Declan Doyle spoke about the group's confidence in late-game situations, and especially about Caleb Williams' ability to lead when the pressure is highest. That confidence is not manufactured. It has been earned through repeated experiences where the team found itself in tight games and came out on the right side. The Bears have already won 7 games that came down to the final moments, and that kind of track record changes how a team feels in crunch time. When Caleb Williams has the ball late, there's a collective belief that the offense can move the field and create an opportunity. It does not mean every drive ends in points, but it does mean panic never sets in. The quarterback plays with poise, the play calling stays aggressive, and the group trusts its preparation. That mentality is built long before the season reaches this point. It starts in training camp, with demanding practices and an emphasis on mental toughness as much as physical execution. The coaching staff has leaned into that philosophy all year, creating an environment where adversity is expected rather than feared. In close games, details still matter most, but toughness often determines who executes those details under pressure. You can see that toughness in how the Bears respond after mistakes. A turnover or a missed opportunity does not spiral into a collapse. Instead, the team regroups, adjusts, and continues to compete snap after snap. That emotional stability has become one of their defining traits, and it is a big reason why so many of their games remain competitive deep into the fourth quarter. Special teams also deserve attention, especially with cold and potentially windy conditions expected at Soldier Field. Richard Hightower expressed complete confidence in Cairo Santos handling the kicking duties, regardless of the elements. That kind of trust is not given lightly, and it reflects the consistency Santos has shown. While he may not have the strongest leg in the league, his reliability within his range has been a major asset. In cold weather games, raw power matters less than technique, confidence, and rhythm. Santos has proven he can deliver in those situations, and knowing that changes how the Bears approach late-game decisions. Field goals feel like real options rather than gambles, which can shape play calling and time management. The special teams unit as a whole has been trending upward for months now, contributing solid returns and clean execution. When that phase of the game is steady, it removes unnecessary stress and allows the offense and defense to operate without feeling like they need to compensate for mistakes elsewhere. That stability could become even more important as conditions get tougher and every yard of field position matters. As the focus shifts closer to kickoff, the injury picture becomes one of the most encouraging storylines for Chicago heading into this matchup. The Bears are getting healthier at exactly the right time, and that matters when you're preparing for a physical, late-season game under difficult conditions. Several players who had been question marks are now trending firmly in the right direction, and that stability allows the coaching staff to game plan without constantly adjusting for absences. One of the most notable developments is the progress of Braxton Jones, who has worked his way back after a long absence. His return adds valuable depth and flexibility along the offensive line, especially in a matchup where pass protection and run-blocking discipline will be tested. Getting him back into full participation speaks volumes about the work he has put in behind the scenes, and it gives the Bears another capable body in the trenches when rotations start to matter. The situation is equally positive on the defensive side. C.J. Gardner-Johnson is fully back after missing time, and his presence alone changes how the Bears can align and disguise coverage. Alongside him, several players who were dealing with concussions have returned to full participation, which is always a relief given the uncertainty that comes with those situations. Having those defenders cleared and ready gives Chicago a much higher ceiling in terms of aggressiveness and complexity. Jalen Reeves-Maybin is another name worth monitoring, as he could factor into linebacker rotations depending on game flow. After being limited earlier in the week, he returned to full participation, which opens the door for him to contribute on defense and special teams. That versatility becomes increasingly important in games where weather and physicality wear players down faster than usual. There's still a couple of offensive skill players being managed carefully, but the overall tone around their availability is optimistic. DJ Moore has been dealing with knee soreness, while Romo Duns continues to manage a lingering foot issue. Neither situation appears alarming, and the limited workloads seem more about preservation than concern. At this stage of the season, Managing reps is often the difference between being available on Sunday and risking unnecessary setbacks during the week. The only Bears player whose status looks truly doubtful is Nick Morrow, who is dealing with a groin injury and has not practiced. Groin injuries can be tricky, especially for players who rely on lateral movement, and without practice reps, it is hard to imagine him being ready. If he is unable to go, the Bears will need others to step up in coverage and run support, but overall the depth has improved enough to absorb that absence. On the other sideline, the Rams enter this game with their own injury concerns, and one name stands out above the rest. Kevin Dotson, one of their most important offensive linemen, continues to battle through an injury as he pushes to be available. When healthy, Dotson is arguably their best interior lineman, providing both pass protection and mobility in the run game. His availability could have a significant impact on how effective the Rams are offensively. Dotson's comments reflect how much this game means to him. Missing time has clearly been frustrating, and his desire to be out there with his teammates is evident. Still, the Rams will need to balance that competitiveness with medical reality. Even if he does suit up, the question becomes how close to full strength he truly is, and whether the Bears can test that early by attacking the interior with pressure and movement. Beyond Dotson, the Rams' injury report is relatively manageable. Several players who had been limited earlier in the week progressed to full participation, suggesting that most of their core contributors should be available. Matthew Stafford, in particular, continues to work through a finger issue, but has remained fully active, which is crucial for an offense that relies heavily on timing and precision. Other Rams defenders and skill players have either returned to full practice or are trending upward, leaving Dotson as the primary variable that could swing the matchup. If he is unable to play, or if his effectiveness is compromised, the Bears may see an opportunity to collapse the pocket more consistently and disrupt Stafford's rhythm. Interior pressure has always been one of the most effective ways to neutralize experienced quarterbacks, especially in cold weather. Another subplot worth monitoring is the Rams' backup quarterback situation. With their reserve dealing with a back issue, there is some uncertainty behind Stafford. While it may not factor into the game plan directly, cold conditions and physical defenses can always create unpredictable moments. Depth at quarterback matters, even if it is something fans hope never comes into play. All of this sets the stage for a game where margins will be thin and execution will matter on every snap. The Bears know they are facing a team with proven stars and playoff experience, but they also know they have built something resilient over the course of the season. Health, confidence, and adaptability are lining up in their favor, and that combination can be powerful this time of year. As the countdown to Sunday night continues, the sense around Chicago is that this team is prepared for the type of game that requires patience and toughness. There's an understanding that conditions may not be perfect, that points may be harder to come by, and that field position and discipline could decide the outcome. Those are the kinds of games the Bears have been living in all season, and that familiarity could prove invaluable when the lights come on and the temperature drops. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a surprising twist that has set the NFL rumor mill ablaze, quarterback Justin Herbert reportedly made comments about the Chicago Bears that insiders say left teammates and league observers stunned. Known for his measured approach in interviews, Herbert's recent remarks have fueled speculation about his future and potential shifts in team dynamics. Sources suggest that while he stopped short of confirming any moves, the tone of his statements hinted at frustration and curiosity about opportunities beyond his current situation. Herbert's reaction, described by those close to the team as unexpectedly candid, has led to intense discussion among analysts and fans alike. Some interpret his words as a subtle critique of the Bears' organizational approach, while others believe he may be testing the waters for trade possibilities or seeking a new challenge that aligns with his ambitious trajectory. The quarterback's high-profile performance over the past seasons has made him one of the league's most sought-after talents, and any suggestion of dissatisfaction is enough to trigger speculation about potential blockbuster moves. The Bears organization has yet to respond publicly, but insiders claim that the locker room atmosphere has been noticeably tense since Herbert's remarks. While some teammates are reportedly rallying in support, others appear to be grappling with the uncertainty, particularly given the quarterback's reputation for leadership and composure. The NFL community, meanwhile, is buzzing with theories ranging from a possible shift to a more competitive roster elsewhere, to a strategic push for contract renegotiations. Herbert's statements, brief but pointed, underscore the delicate balance of player-team relationships in a league where public comments can spark waves of speculation overnight. Analysts are closely dissecting every nuance, from word choice to body language during press interactions, to gauge the potential implications. For fans, the intrigue lies not just in what Herbert said, but in what might follow. Rumors are already circulating about interest from multiple franchises, and the sports world is watching closely to see whether this is a fleeting moment of venting or the opening salvo of a major shakeup. As the story develops, one thing is clear. Herbert's voice carries weight, and even an offhand remark has the power to send shockwaves across the league. The Bears, their fans, and football enthusiasts everywhere are left speculating on what the next move could be, keeping everyone on edge and hungry for more details about the quarterback whose every word now seems to carry hidden meaning. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.